Hey guys, we're here with another Foundations video where we are going to talk about using modulation as an effect on electric guitar. There's a lot of satisfaction that comes from dialing in a great amp tone, getting a really tight squeeze with compression, pushing it into another gear with overdrive, and then adding depth and space with delay and reverb. But sometimes it can feel a little bit static when we hear that over and over again. And when we add modulation as an extra layer, we can add some nice, fresh expression to our sound and help it feel more dynamic. There's seriously so many different types of modulation effects out there, but in this video, we're going to hone in on two very common pitch modulation effects used in a lot of modern worship music and discuss how we can use them effectively. Before we dive into the effects themselves, I thought it would be good for us to talk about our approach to setting up any sort of modulation for a worship song. I have found that in most scenarios, modulation effects sound really nice when they're used in a complementary manner with the rest of your sound and don't completely overtake things. In addition to playing with different octaves and intervals, this is a great way to add some slight separation in tone between your sound and the keys player in your band. On the other hand, it would probably be a major distraction to your people and your team if all of a sudden they heard something that sounded nothing like a guitar while trying to sing. And that's what we were trying to avoid with this approach. What I try to find when setting up modulation is the mix and depth of effect that I can slightly discern with my ears when it's engaged, but that I can definitely feel is missing when it's bypassed. We'll put this into practice right now as we talk about our first effect. Octave generation is a type of pitch shifting modulation that adds a low and or a high octave that you can blend in with your dry signal. And the most commonly used pedal for this is the Electro-Harmonix Polyphonic Octave Generator, or POG for short. And I like to use the high octave from the POG to add an extra layer to a hook towards the end of a song or add a shimmery effect to some swells. Right now, I'm running this right after my compressor because I want to give the pedal the purest and most consistent signal to generate its notes from. If I have it later in the chain, especially after overdrive pedals, the tracking might get a little messed up. So I'll take a few seconds and dial in this POG. And here's my dry signal with a little bit of delay and reverb just for some context. Here's the POG on with the settings all at noon. So obviously there's a lot going on there. It sounds kind of like an organ. Here's dry again. So the first thing that I'm going to do when I dial in this POG is I'm going to actually turn the sub octave and the octave up all the way down, and I'm going to try and gain match, similar to my overdrive and compressor approach, the pedal to the dry signal. So here's the POG bypassed original signal, and then I'm going to turn it on. That's pretty close. I'm going to add just a little more gain back, the dry signal. Maybe even a little more. Okay, I feel like that's pretty close. So what I'm going to do now is, since I like the high octave, is I'm going to bring that octave up slowly until I feel like I'm at a point where it's slightly discernible, but it's not totally distracting. And when I turn it off, I can definitely tell that it's not there. So here's the exaggerated effect. It's really high there, so I'm going to turn it down. Probably a little hot. That feels pretty good. So this is no POG. So with the POG. I like where that's sitting because, again, I can definitely tell that there's a little bit of an extra layer there when it's on. And then when I turn it off, I can definitely tell that something is missing. I like where that's sitting. So that's a good approach for the Pog. The second effect that we're going to look at is vibrato. Vibrato takes your whole signal and modulates it up and down at a certain rate and depth. And it's very similar to chorus, but chorus is just vibrato and your dry signal blended together. So the concepts will translate well, but sound a bit different. And I really like using vibrato on both lead and rhythm parts, as well as swells, really anything that can use a little movement. And I'll probably try and save this for parts of songs that aren't so heavy because I like for it to stick out with a tone on the cleaner side. And I'll probably run this right after overdrives and right before delay because modulation effects like vibrato start to mess with the timing when you get into the rate settings. And so I want to get them as close to my other time-based effects like delay and reverb as I possibly can. And I'll show you what this vibrato sounds like. Here's my dry signal again. A little bit of delay and reverb. Here's the vibrato pedal. So you can definitely hear a little bit of movement. This is what it would sound like in really extreme settings. So that's the kind of thing that vibrato does. It can take a signal and make it really jittery depending on how fast you want to do it. And obviously that's not what we're going for. But with the settings right up the middle, this pedal actually gets me fairly close to where I want to be. But still a little fast for me. So I'm going to take the rate and the depth and turn them down just a hair and see how that affects things. Here's the dry signal again. So you can definitely tell when I turn it off that something is very different. But the setting itself is not that drastic. So I might even turn the depth down just a hair still. I feel like that setting right there would serve a song really, really well with a vibrato pedal. We hope that this video has been helpful to you in providing some guidelines and ideas as you jump into playing with modulation. And if you have any questions about this content, please feel free to reach out to us at worship@grace-bible.org, and we'll see you next time.